I'm Brook Ferguson. I'm a principal flutist with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra. It's my 4th season. I started in 2010. Flute was my first love, and it's never broken my heart yet. I heard a flute playing when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I remembered thinking that it sounded really interesting, and it sounded like a voice to me. It sounded like the human voice. So I was in 6th grade band, and I'd been asking my parents to get me a flute for a really long time, and they wouldn't do it because they wanted me to play something that we could rent from the school, like a euphonium or a trombone, and that was just not gonna happen. So I waited it out. I sat in band class without an instrument for a month, and finally my parents gave in and they bought me a flute. They took me to a pawn shop and they spent $165 on it, and they said, pick one out. So I picked the shiniest one. Little did I know that the, kind of grungy looking ones were pure silver and the shiny one was made of nickel. But, these are things that 10-year-olds don't understand. I just kept playing and playing and playing it, and pretty soon it was just like something that I did and that took to sort of instantly and just kept doing. It was like I just knew that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Kind of crazy. My parents used to yell at me and tell me to stop practicing. But, they didn't realize none of them were professional musicians. They didn't realize kind of how much a person actually has to practice and prepare. Colorado Symphony is an interesting organization for a lot of reasons, and one of those reasons is that it's self-governed. And I remember when I was in music school, I was talking to my theory professor about orchestras, and he said, well, there's this orchestra in Colorado, and it's self-governed, it's musician-run. And I remembered having never thought of that possibility because most orchestras feel a bit like a feudal system. With musicians kind of at the bottom of the totem pole. And I thought, that actually sounds kind of interesting. You have to be responsible for making sure, finances work out, that you're planning programs that make sense for the community. It just seemed like a lot more engaging experience. And that really stuck with me. I was auditioning at a lot of different places, and I came out here and took the audition, was offered the job, and I was delighted. I mean, it's a beautiful place to live, and the orchestra's filled with incredible musicians and great colleagues. So I was very fortunate, very fortunate. I think living at altitude in the mile-high city it does pose its challenges for wind instruments. Luckily, I don't play with a reed, so really all I have to worry about is just the air capacity. And breathing is something that I've worked on over time, but the main work that I've done in breathing has happened in my Bikram yoga classes in Denver. And to get through an hour and a half, you have to breathe, and you have to breathe into the part of your body that you're actually using to balance. And I find when I come back to playing the flute, and if I'm a little anxious when I'm going through something, literally I can use my breath to calm me down. I can use my breath to make me happy. I can use my breath to make me really focused. I mean, there's just an infinite amount of things that I can do with it, and I've learned that through this class. But playing at altitude had led me into going to Bikram. The symphony is really filled with athletes. And these are not athletes that are at the gym lifting, hundreds of pounds of, steel and everything, but we're athletes of the small muscles, and we're actually almost Olympians of the small muscles. We're calling on the same thing every day to support our efforts to play our instruments, and is very physical. But I think in terms of what we do for the community and how much we care about the community, I'd say we're right up there with, the charities and the sports teams and all these things. I mean, we really care a lot about our community and getting out there and doing things within our community. And in that regard, I think we really are major league, and it feels good to be a part of an organization like that. Playing in an orchestra feels incredible. I mean, the wall of sound that moves through the concert hall is something that I think really touches people, transforms them, brings them into an experience that they might have had no idea how powerful it was going to be. In terms of decibel levels, I mean, the orchestra is like having jet planes take off all around you. I mean, it is extraordinarily loud up close. But as you sort of step back, it just kind of radiates in a sort of ambient way. And it permeates the skin of the audience. And I think that's what makes orchestra so beautiful. Sitting on the stage, you're working so hard. You really, you don't have the same ability to relax and enjoy yourself the way that someone in the audience would. But that's why you're not relaxed, because you want the people in the audience to have a fantastic experience. I think the Colorado Symphony is not your typical symphony. It's not a stuffy concert-going experience. We want to see our hall filled with lots and lots of newcomers who are just about to have the biggest adventure with music that they've ever experienced. And I hope that many people who haven't tried us out will come and just really see and hear the music. Musicians are some of the funniest people you'll ever meet. We're so simple. We love two things. Usually we love music and we love food, and everything else is kind of ancillary. So if you see us on stage and we're really intense and focused, it's just because it really does require that level of focus and attention. It's a flow activity, and it's not something where you can just kind of smile and think, hey, I hope I'm making everybody really comfortable right now. You're just really focused on the intensity of the piece, and you get so caught up in the mood and in the moment. But musicians they're fun people. They're great to get to know. We have a little bit of a different spin on life, and we're just basically dreamers.